the cloud.
Okay.
Awesome.
Oh, I see the recording button.
Yay! We are live then. This is
Excellent.
Yeah, this is Kathy with the Vitality Code in Femme Salon, and we are so delighted today to have a special guest with us, LeeAnn Langdon, who is a certified personal trainer, and she has a certification in senior fitness. Her company is Prime of Life Fitness. So who doesn't want that right about now? LeeAnn, why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, let's see. This was a midlife career change for me. Like so many people, I hit midlife and everything changed. So I spent 25, 30 years in the book publishing industry, knowing that someday I would love to have my own business and do my own thing. And I just didn't know what that was. And at some point, I started realizing that my own workouts weren't working the way they used to. And I kept hearing from my friends the same thing. Oh, I tried the beginner's yoga class and I couldn't walk for 3 days. Or, you know, I thought I would do that P90X thing and I couldn't comb my hair the next day. I was so sore. So it occurred to me that we needed a new fitness model for people who are no longer in their 20s, but who are still very much in the prime of their lives. By that point, I had enough experience working for a lot of different companies in a lot of different roles, and I felt strangely ready to go out and do my own thing. So I did. I got certified through the American Council on Exercise, opened my business, and got so lucky to be adopted by a few very key people early on who, you know, really helped push me forward. And 9 years later, business is great, and I have never been happier.
That's so awesome. You're an inspiration for a couple of different reasons in that story, because the gals that are in this group are kind of at that space of like, I like how you said strangely ready.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we have that strangely ready calling for something new. We're not quite sure what it is, and just like you, following the heart and the way is led. But also, you know, at this point in time in our lives, we're 50s, 60s, and, you know, regardless of whether, as you were saying, you know, the people who haven't done any exercise up until now, or me, I've done a lot of exercise, but there's bits and pieces that knees in particular, or hips.
Right.
Lots of people have lower back, you know, back problems, and so they're not able to do, just like you said, is like, oh, the things that used to work for us to lose weight or to look at just don't work anymore. So oh my goodness. And I love how some of the words that you have on your website. So again, ladies, her website is primeoflifefitness.com. And you say, if you're a man or a woman of a certain age, you know that staying fit is not as easy as it used to be. It can be a little harder to maintain a healthy weight, have countless demands on your time. So that's a big one I hear, the time. And you've got aches and pains, perhaps even chronic medical conditions. So I think those are all barriers that we have, and that's why I'm so glad that you can help us maybe navigate around some of those barriers. So another spot on your website, you were talking about the different elements of fitness, like balance.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about what a good fitness plan looks like.
Yeah, so I like to think of it as 4 legs of a stool. Pull away any one of the legs and you're likely to fall over. So we all know about strength and endurance, right? If you think about working out, you think about running on a treadmill or outdoors for your endurance, your cardio workout, and you think about lifting weights and that sort of thing for your strength. But as we get older, it becomes more and more important that we focus on our balance and our flexibility as well. So the 4 of those in combination give you a really well-rounded, well-supported workout for an aging body. And all of our bodies are aging, and they have been since the moment we were born. It's just that after a certain point, we start to notice it a lot more, right? And those 4 elements of a fitness program can really help you manage your aging better.
Yeah. That's interesting. I like how you say within the context of aging. I was just reading a Dr. McCullough article on fitness as we age, and it was interesting. Some of the benefits I didn't really think about that it's good for is he said that it actually slows down aging because it promotes cellular energy within the mitochondria. So it's almost tuning up our metabolism. At this point in time, it's like, you know, we all think our metabolism is slowing over time, and I guess it is.
And it
so
is.
tell us more about that. Like, what happens with this metabolism, and how do we use exercise to tune it up again?
That's a great question. And I don't think we know entirely exactly why it is, but I think we're pretty sure that yes, in fact, human metabolism slows as we age. We're pretty sure that one of the reasons for that, in fact, one of the big reasons, and the big reason that we can control, is that we lose lean muscle mass as we age. So there's I think the estimate is that we lose a 0.5 pound of lean muscle tissue per year after our 30s. But we're not losing a 0.5 pound every year, right?
Oh.
Yeah, so we're putting on fat and we're losing muscle. And muscle is really, it's the only driver of your metabolism that you can really control. You can't grow a third lung. You're not going to grow another brain, right? Those organs use a lot of energy, but so do your muscles, and you can control your muscles.
Yeah, but you kind of hit on a great distinction there too, of you can be a weight, like say 140 pounds, but 140 pounds of fluff doesn't look the same as 140 pounds of, a good composition of healthy, you know, fat and muscle, nice lean muscle. So.
Yes, exactly. Most people notice that if they start a resistance training program and they start to build lean muscle tissue, they will notice that their clothes fit better, but they haven't lost weight.
Right.
And that's because the muscle tissue is actually denser. It takes up less space on your body, but it weighs more per unit of space.
That's a good way to say it. And you're using the term resistance training. So what kind of components would fall into that?
So the obvious one is weight training, using weights in a gym, but you can also use your own body weight for resistance training. You know, you can do push-ups and squats and stair climbing. Some types of yoga can provide a fair amount of resistance. You can use the stretchy bands. You know, to a certain degree, you can do water aerobics, because if you're using the little foam weights, the resistance of the water provides some resistance. That comes with some caveats, because you don't get the same bone building benefit from water aerobics that you do from land-based weight-bearing work. But anything that taxes your muscles, that requires your muscles to actually break down a little bit, get microscopic tears in the muscle fiber, and then be repaired overnight, it's going to give you resistance.
Right. Okay, so maybe we should go into the different elements. So that's kind of like the strength and muscle building aspect of fitness. What are some things that you recommend as far as balance?
Oh, yeah. So it's something we never think about until we lose it, right? And I hear this from people all the time. I started falling this year. What's up with that? And it turns out that when we're little kids, we always walk on the thing that looks like the balance beam. We always walk on the curb, or the stops in the parking lots.
So you're saying we should start doing that again?
Yeah. Right. At some point,
Love it.
At some point, the fear takes over, right? Whether it's the fear of falling or just the fear of looking stupid, right? Because we're acting like a kid. And so we stop doing things that are at all challenging. I don't want you to do stupid things, right? But I do want you to practice your balance, because it makes a big difference and there's often, for many people as they age, there's a tie-in between the strength and the balance. Many balance issues are really weakness issues. They're weakness in the lower body muscles and the core muscles. So, you know, some balance issues are inner ear based or medication side effect based, but many of the balance issues I see are just weaknesses, and that's easy to fix. That's really good news, because that's easy to fix.
Okay, and I'm going to mind read some of our listeners thinking, oh no, do I have to start doing sit-ups to increase core strength?
No, sit-ups are one of the worst things you can do. Yeah, no way. No, there's so many good core exercises, and the kinds of core exercises that are really useful are more functional. They're more like daily use kinds of things. You know what a great core exercise is get out your rake and go rake your leaves, right? That rotational movement. Use your core, draw in on your belly button, stand up tall, sit up tall. Just using the muscles that you have there to support you as you move is really the best exercise.
Yeah.
Most of us just get lazy about it.
Yeah, yeah, or just don't think about it. And core being, it's not, oftentimes we're thinking about the front, like
Right.
abs, but it's actually all the way in the back muscles too, right?
Absolutely. I think of core as anything that's not your arms and your legs and your head. So your rear end, your glute muscles, where the legs attach to the back, are a great provider of support, and those muscles can help position your pelvis so your spine is nicely aligned. The muscles in the upper back between your shoulder blades also provide a great deal of support along your spine so that your movements are more functional, better balanced, much safer as you exercise.
Well, that, and you kind of allude to another thing that I think is super important as we age is just good posture. Like,
right.
And I'm seeing, it's amazing
I
because
know.
at this age, you can really begin to see the people
Yes.
who've taken good, actions up until now, but, want to start, and just slight movements, even the head
Right.
being slightly
Pulling the head back.
Yeah.
Right.
And, I'm guilty. I think we all are, because we're in this computer-based world. So we're kind of
Right.
the hunch thing. So what do you recommend to kind of reverse the effects of some of that?
Well, being aware of it first is really important. How much time do we spend looking down at our phones?
Yeah.
How much time do we really, our lives are lived in this box in the strike zone, right? All right in front of us.
Yeah.
So use the backside of your body more. For most people, it's as simple as being conscious of where your shoulders are. They actually belong on the backside of your torso, not here in front where most of us live, right? So using your shoulder blades to pinch your shoulders together and down and back, that automatically pulls your torso upright, opens up your chest, aligns your shoulders so you're much less likely to injure them doing normal movements, and helps you stay upright, helps keep your head centered over your base of support, makes it less likely that you fall. It all goes together.
Yeah. So if we just reminded ourselves, like while we're, like, say you're working for 8 hours, if we just reminded ourselves to sit, does that actually gear towards strengthening the core too?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The more times you remember to, rise up out of your slump, the stronger those muscles become, right? How does that happen? When I say sit up tall and people sit up tall, how does that happen? The muscles do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to specifically say, okay, pinch my shoulder blades, lift my head, it just, your body knows so much.
Isn't that the truth? That, and it speaks so much too. So I think when I see people, different people at the same age, and somebody who's got that good posture, there's a certain sense of grace about how they're aging, but also a sense of just personal confidence. It's like, you want to hang out with the people that are open like this versus the closed down thing. So and
I see that a lot with women, right? It's sort of a natural posture to want to protect your heart.
Ooh,
right?
Good point.
And so I see that a lot in women in their posture. It says so much about what's going on in their head and their heart. And you can, just like you can fake a smile to make yourself feel better. Mm-hmm. You can fake good posture. You can open up your posture to literally feel more confident.
Right.
And it's worth it. It's really a self-replicating process. The more you do it, the easier it is, the more confident you look, the more people treat you with respect, and it just self-fulfills.
Yeah. And just, you touch on, there's so many different aspects that exercise and movement do for us. So it's physical, the mental, the emotional, and even spiritual. Like, it helps us to connect I mean, and like you said, connect to our own body helps
Yep.
us, to connect to other people, which I think is also one of those elements of that go into a whole picture of wellness that we oftentimes just don't identify as so pivotal.
Yeah.
So planning. So what we hit on? We hit on strength and balance. What next?
Flexibility. Yeah, that becomes a big one as we age. And again, I urge people to look at kids. If you go to a playground and look at how little kids move, they move their bodies every which way.
Mhm.
And again, we move our bodies just here in front of us, right? In this narrow little box. And your joints are made to move in a lot of different ways, right? So move forward, move backwards, move side to side, bend, stretch, twist. Um, on days that I don't want to work out, I literally start head to toe, and I just try to move every joint through its full natural pain-free range of motion. If when I finish that, I still don't feel like working out, then I don't. But generally, taking each of the joints through their range of motion just brings up the blood flow a little bit, draws some fluid into the joints, makes everything feel a little bit better. And suddenly I feel like, oh yeah, I want to keep moving because this feels good.
Yeah. So two things she just said there, ladies, is sometimes the pros feel like not working out too.
A lot. If you ever need a reason not to, I know them all. I've used them.
Awesome.
But I also know the answer to them all. So there's that.
And so that's probably part of like what goes into creating a way of staying consistent with it. I think that's got to be
Yes.
one of the most important things, is not to go out and think, okay, I need to get fit and go run 5 miles one day. You'd
Right.
be much better off to run a mile.
You'd be
5 days.
better off to walk a block,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah,
mean,
consistently.
seriously, that is the biggest mistake that people make, is starting too hard, too fast, too soon. Just start, but start small. It's the first thing you have to build is the habit muscle.
Mm.
All the other muscles will follow along, but build a habit that you at least like a little bit, hopefully a habit that you love, right? And you will come back and do it. And that means really respecting where you are right now on any given day. So if you're the kind of person who sets yourself a goal and says, I will not be satisfied until I reach that goal, well, that's great until the morning that you wake up with a terrible headache, or you had a lousy night's sleep, or you're jet lagged, right? Give yourself a break that day. Keep exercising, just dial it down. I like to think about, it's important to think about your workouts as a scatter plot of data. And what you're worried about is the trend line, right? It's fine if your workouts go up and down. As long as the trend is moving in the right direction, you've got it.
That's such a great visual. And like you said,
Yeah.
it's so easy for us to go straight to judgment of like, I suck because I didn't exercise. And then,
Yeah.
judge yourself, and then you don't the next day, and then it becomes the trend versus I really like that scatter graph.
Yeah, it really helps. And what I tell people is, this is a commitment you're making for the rest of your life. Your body is designed to move. It's why you have a brain, right? Your body doesn't need a brain if it doesn't move, right? So think about movement as something you're going to do until you take your last breath, literally. That means you don't have to do it all today, right? You've got a nice long horizon. Take that time, enjoy it, right? Give your body time to adapt. It will.
And the other thing, even just as you were talking about the different range of motion, it looked like dancing. I'm like, oh, you made me think I'd love to chase. I have always thought I'd like to take some dance lessons. I mean, something like that to get you moving, and side to side more versus all
Yes.
the biking that I've done up until now.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
time to balance some of that forward motion with some other
things. And the good news is that the scientific evidence is pretty clear. Activity is activity, right? So it doesn't matter if you're dancing or pumping iron. There are different benefits, but in terms of your longevity, and the need to get exercise and movement for your health, you can be raking leaves, you can be, you know, shaking out your rugs, you can be salsa dancing, you can be fencing, you know, you can be doing whatever floats your boat as long as you're up and moving.
And like you said, one of the best ever is walking.
Yeah, and the easiest.
Yeah. Okay, so that leaves cardio as the last one.
Cardio, yeah. So, I mean, this is the easy one, right? Because everybody knows how to walk, right? It's the simplest thing for most of us to do. And again, I think the one mistake too many people make, especially if they have not been regular exercisers thus far, the biggest mistake they make is thinking it has to be really hard and really exhausting. So for most of us, by the time we're in our 50s or 60s, all it takes to get your heart rate into the low end of your aerobic zone is that you stand up from the couch and take a few steps. It really is that easy. If you take a few brisk steps, you're well into your aerobic zone for most of us, unless you're already quite fit. So really, it's easier than you think. I routinely surprise clients by giving them a heart rate monitor and showing them how easy it is to get into their training zone. And the best test is the talk test, right? If you can walk with a buddy and carry on a conversation, you're doing it right. If you can't carry on a conversation, you're working too hard. You should back off.
What heart rate monitors might you recommend?
Oh gosh, I've used a very inexpensive Timex monitor, the old-fashioned kind that straps around your chest. I don't know. Now you can get your Apple Watch, your Fitbit watch to do it. I don't know how reliable those are, but probably slightly more reliable than the handles on the equipment at the gym.
Yeah, which is a good question. I always wondered about those things because it says you burn 600 calories. It's like, there's no way.
No, those are highly inaccurate. And here's why. First of all, if it didn't ask you to plug in your height, your weight, and your age, it's assuming you're a 200-pound man, right? 6-foot tall guy. Of course, they're burning more calories because they have more lean muscle mass, right? If you did plug in your data, it still doesn't know how much percentage body fat you have versus how much lean you have. So it's a wild guess at best. So yeah, don't bank on that. You know, you can use it as a way to say, well, I think I worked harder today than I did yesterday. But beyond that, it's not very accurate.
Don't go and eat 600 calories of pizza after the workout.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't take it literally. That, and you know, as we mentioned before, that time just being a cruncher for me, my favorite cardio is going to be like high interval, into you know, the interval training. So tell us more about that. How you?
Yeah. So, so we talked about the talk test as knowing that you're in your aerobic zone. So high intensity intervals take you outside your aerobic zone into the anaerobic zone. It's that area where you cannot carry on a conversation. You're literally gasping for breath and you cannot sustain it for very long, right? And they're meant to be short intervals of work. You can get those by sprinting or climbing stairs. Depends on how fit you are, right? So if you're not very fit, for most of us, all we have to do is crank up the angle on the treadmill a little bit, and that raises the heart rate enough, even at a walking pace, that it becomes a higher intensity interval. And so those you can do at a shorter period of time for shorter duration and still get tremendous cardiovascular benefit and in a very short period of time. I would also add one of my favorite ways. People don't think about this as aerobic exercise, but squats and lunges, or stair climbing, because you're lifting your entire body weight with every repetition, puts tremendous strain on your heart. It's a great deal of aerobic effort. So if you don't like to run, feel free to climb stairs, walk hills, or do your squats.
Yeah, we're lucky here, you know, with so many hills, just Green Mountain, to be able to
Yeah.
go over there and just do, I call them, you know, pickups. Just pick your pace up for a minute
Right.
and then amble for a minute. And that
Yep.
alone can, it doesn't take very long. The scary part is
Yeah.
how quickly, like you said, 3 steps and it's already like, okay, I can feel this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. If you can feel it, you're there.
Yeah.
Right? It's not supposed to make you miserable. It's supposed to feel challenging, but not like you're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about motivation, like some of the tips that you recommend to help people stay consistent. So I think we kind of touched on maybe having partners, kind of accountability partners.
Yeah, and I hate that word accountability because it's so judgmental. It assumes that you're a slacker, and I assume that you're not, right? I assume that you're busy and that you have other priorities, and that's okay. We just want to figure out how we make movement another priority a little bit higher up your list, right? And so a buddy who's going to encourage you is great. A buddy who's going to nag you is not going to be your buddy for very long, right? You need to stop taking her calls.
I think one of the best buddies is having a dog. So
yeah, a dog is a great workout buddy.
Yeah, because he gets you out there regardless. He's got to get out. So you oftentimes, you know, it looks cold outside. You step outside because he's got to go, and it's like, all right, as long as we're out here, might as well do a loop around the lake.
Yeah, exactly. And once you get warmed up, it's fine, right? Once you've taken those first few quick steps, it feels just fine. But really making it a routine part of your day is the easiest way to stick with it. So think about, if you're trying to build a new habit, one of the easiest things to do is to pair a new habit with an existing habit. So if you always, I don't know, if you always get in your car and go to work, well, before I go to work every day, I take a lap around the block. Or when I come home from work, what do I do when I come home from work? After I feed the cats every night, I take a walk around the block, right? So pair the two things in a sentence in your mind. When I do this, then I do that, right? Make it a part of something that you already do every day so that you have that reminder and so that you've built that space. And I also recommend starting small, right? I know the goal is to get at least 30 minutes of exercise, at least 5 days a week. Think of that as what you're building up to if you're not there already, right? So if you can't find 30 minutes, start with 5, right? Start with 5 minutes that make you feel great so that you really crave 7 minutes. If you crave those 7 minutes, I guarantee you'll find them. But if you hate the 30 minutes, you'll never find 30 minutes.
Yeah, I like that you've mentioned the 5 minutes. So one of the things I love to do is I've got a daily burn subscription. I think it's like $15 for the entire month. And it's funny because I used to do, the workouts used to be 40 minutes and they came down to 30 minutes and 20 minutes. And the other day I was like, oftentimes, you know, I get so busy. And then I'm like, oh, I ran out of my 30 minutes. I don't have time. Now they've even got 10-minute, you know, little workouts. It's like, oh my gosh, those things are so golden. So it's almost like now there's not an excuse not to find 5 or 10 minutes. And if you're not feeling like competent to make the best of those on your own, there's such easy ways to plug in these days to find something that can lead you right through what you need for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, again, if you don't overdo it, you're golden. Keep it to a level that makes you want to keep coming back. That's my best advice. The people who are regular lifetime exercisers are people who are doing stuff they like, right? They actually enjoy it. They don't do it because it's a burden or an obligation. They do it because they like it. So you've got to find the thing that you like to do.
Yeah. And for some that might be the gym, and for some that might not be a gym.
Exactly. It's totally fine to do what works for you.
Yeah. And are there tips you might have for somebody who feels like they want to go back to the gym, but they don't know how to like it?
Oh God, shop around. You know, I think different gyms have different personalities. Maybe, the Denver, if you're in the Denver metro area, we've got great rec centers that often are not full of the sort of typical gym dude. They're full of, old folks like us who are just trying to stay healthy. And sometimes that can actually help a great deal, is just to be in the right setting where you don't feel so out of place. If you go to a rec center and everybody looks like you, that's going to be much more comfortable than if you go to a hardcore iron pumping gym and everybody looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger 40 years ago.
I think he probably still looks pretty good.
He looks great, right? But he's not 30 anymore.
Yeah, that's true. And neither are we.
And
yeah.
Thank God for that.
Yep, that is true. I have to say, I really do love this time of life. There's so many good things. And then, some of the push that I used to do, even in the exercise world, it's just not necessary right now anymore.
Right.
And fitness, obviously, for me, it's just a way of life. It's like breathing. I can't imagine going through a day without moving, because of how the body pump is the pump for my enthusiasm and connection and passion for life in so many different areas. So when you can not see it as, and I like the name of your business, the Prime of Life Fitness. It's not like exercise. Like exercise has such a negative connotation.
Yeah.
Like you force yourself to do this. And it's like, no, what we're after is this beautiful fitness for life.
Right. It's all about feeling good and being able to do the things you want to do. So again, since I often work with clients who are quite a bit older, people in their 70s and 80s, your priorities change quite a bit. Nobody tells me I want to look better in a bathing suit, right? They tell me I want to be able to get on the floor and play with my grandkids and get back up.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be able to stay in my house, and that means I need to be able to still climb the stairs. Right? Your priorities change, but your fitness can really support those priorities.
Yeah. And I would say the priorities of my gals are oftentimes they've worked out before, and then there's other callings in life that kind of took them away from their fitness.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they're there anymore, but they would love to go out and be able to cross country ski or, bike or whatever. And they don't, all that subconscious, they're feeling embarrassed because they compare themselves to the way they used to be. So,
right.
It's just us knowing that we're okay right where we are. And
yes,
you said, find the running mates that are the play pals that are kind of at our level. And
yeah. And who will support you, right? I mean, you need folks who are willing to validate you as you are. Right. And frankly, the most important person who will do that for you is you. Right. If you can't tell yourself and really believe it, that you're really just fine right now, and there's still a possibility to get even better, who's going to do that for you? Be nice to yourself.
Yeah. That's lovely. I love that. Wow. It's hard to know where to go with that, because that is such a pinnacle thing.
Yeah, right. I mean, that really is the bottom line. And honestly, especially for women, we spend so much of our lives giving, doing for everybody else, and our needs come last on the list. When do you get to be first? How about right now?
Good one. And that's pretty much the message for Femme Salon. It's like, my time is now. I get to focus and when we are fit, when we have gotten that selfish time to prioritize our own fitness or self-care in whatever regard, now we're more for the people that are looking,
that need us. Yeah, absolutely. And I see so many people for whom midlife is a huge challenge, right? It is a time of tremendous loss, difficult situations, losing parents, spouses getting ill, divorces, losing jobs that you've held for a long time, dealing with kids who are growing up and moving out and maybe moving back. You know, so many challenges hit us all at once in this potent time of our lives. And exactly, if you have not been taking care of yourself, you're not up for the task.
Yeah. Well, that, and just for me, I mean, mountain biking is like my therapy. It's a lot cheaper too.
Yeah.
But it's so good for depression or anxiety or, you know, the
Yes.
stress, like you said. It's like you got to take that break, especially when you get out in nature. And, you know, nature, I think, is that one space that we can all turn to where there is no judgment, unless, well, aside from the judgment we're caring about ourselves when we go out in nature. But if we could drop that and be like,
yes,
what a magic, you know, kind of trifecta that is.
Yeah, and there's great science behind that. There's lots of evidence that exercise is like the best thing you can do for your brain, whether it's to be able to study for a test or a course you're taking, to be able to remember the names of your loved ones as you age, whether it's to deal with anxiety and depression, ADHD. Exercise is the great brain chemistry balancer, right? It makes your brain healthy.
Yeah, and I often think, you know, the lymph system doesn't have a pump of its own, so it's requiring the blood, our movement, the muscles to contract.
Yes.
And when you think of that, it's you can actually see, like, the people who don't move and their lymph is there, like, this is our toxic waste system, and if you're not moving it, you're basically sitting in the end product of your own cesspool. And you can see in the skin tone of those people who don't move versus the ones that do.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was maybe a little bit more graphic. But it's true.
But it's true. Yeah. You know, sweating is a really important part of your body's elimination system. It's one of the ways your body eliminates toxins and things that it can't use. So go for it.
Yeah. Maybe I can spin that more positively. When we move, you're circulating oxygen, and that helps your skin look fresh and young.
There you go. That's good.
How's that?
I like it.
What else would you throw in that we haven't touched on yet?
Gosh, I just, especially for women, I urge you to not be afraid of lifting weights. That loss of lean muscle tissue, you know, if the slowing metabolism motivates you to work out, great. If that doesn't motivate you to work out, look around at the gals who are in their 70s and 80s and or who are having trouble now just carrying themselves around. That's a loss of muscle, right? Your muscles atrophy to a point that you can no longer carry your skeleton around, and that is totally preventable. And the time to prevent it is right now. You start maintaining that muscle now, and it will serve you very well. You will not bulk up. I promise you, you can't work hard enough. Unless you're taking steroids, you know, you are not going to bulk up. You don't have the time.
Yeah. And you even touched on another one, the skeletal system too. That I actually was doing some part-time work over at OsteoStrong, and that's a biohack place. They do osteogenic loading, so they're putting extra pressure onto the bones to, just like muscle, when you press them, like the body's so amazing, it knows exactly what it needs. So when you ask your body to do heavy things or stretch it responds. And so osteoporosis, like, you know, this doesn't have to be, you might have a genetic predisposition for this and like all those other chronic diseases, but it doesn't have to be your destiny. So if you can go out and, just like you're saying, even, you know, the weightlifting is great for that. Anything that's putting that extra pressure onto the bones. But all this, you know, there are natural ways to reverse all of this. And can you tie that back to like just movement and how that helps with inflammation, which to me is pretty much the precursor to every chronic disease we've got right now?
Yeah, it's interesting because inflammation is like the hero and the villain in your body, right? It's the right kind of inflammation is great, right? The kind the kind where you get the redness around a cut is great. That's your body sending white blood cells to take out the nasty invaders and to protect your body from this invading force. The chronic inflammation that comes from stress and poor eating habits and not getting enough sleep and not getting enough exercise is the kind of inflammation that will kill you, that's typically considered the underlying cause of many of the diseases of Western civilization. Exercise is one of those good kinds of inflammation. So when you are sore the next day in your muscles, that's inflammation. That's your body going to work repairing the inflammation that you caused by literally damaging your muscles, but just a little bit. And the process of repairing that damage is the healthy inflammation that keeps your immune system strong and that keeps your body functioning the way it's designed to function.
Yeah. And connects the dots. I mean, when you think about, I think about some of the big diseases, like to me, just as you were saying, is we're building new muscle fibers. So that's, those all have new receptors. So insulin, you know, so the high blood pressure or blood pressure and the blood sugar levels are going to be positively impacted.
Yeah.
How would exercise and cancer, you know, relate?
There's some pretty good evidence that colon cancer and breast cancer in particular are not entirely preventable, but your likelihood of getting breast cancer or colon cancer is less if you're a regular exerciser. I don't think they've studied enough of the specific cancers to say that across the board, but we do know that in at least certain cases, exercise is again, one of the best medicines.
Yeah, to me, it's so related to cancer, especially because it's connected with, you know, those areas aren't getting the oxygen. So whatever we can do to increase the oxygen, which exercise is all about, the fitness is all about, that's going to help. And especially people when they're going through the cancer experience, you know, they're going through treatments or whatever, the depression, the disconnection, the lack of, I don't know, positivity, if they can go out. And I think when even like you said, just starting small, if you set the goal of around the block or around the lake, whatever it is, there's a certain authenticity, like you've set your goal and you've made it, regardless of how small. There's a personal integrity. I think it increases your confidence, your self-confidence to take on other challenges.
Absolutely. A good exercise program, well designed for your current fitness level, is great for building that sense of self-efficacy. I can do this. And if I can do this, maybe I can do that. And if I can do that, I can do the next thing. And it really does build you. Again, your body's designed to adapt, right? You challenge it and it wants to meet that challenge. As long as you give it the right dose, right? I think about exercise as dose specific, just like medicine. Too little won't do you any good. Too much can literally kill you, but just the right amount is just the right amount. And that's what you're looking for, is that sweet spot.
And that's the importance of finding somebody like you to help people dial in what works, you know, with their busy or crazy or, you know, daunting lifestyle. It's like there's always, and I think that's one of your specialties, is helping people figure out in the nooks and crannies how to get the daily dose.
Yeah, and what are the workarounds to your limitations, right? So many people I work with, it's the knee or the ankle or the shoulder or this condition, or I'm recovering from cancer treatment, or, you know, whatever it is, there's always a workaround.
Yeah, there is. And let's just touch a bit because on like nutrition, because I think a lot of times when people are looking to lose weight, they're thinking, okay, I'm going to go, you know, start running, or, you know, go for some kind of cardio first. And to me, I think exercise is the first thing, yes, that you should turn to, but because of a different reason. It's not because of the calorie burn, because it's not about calories in and calories out. Nutrition, those two have to go so hand in hand, because you have to have the clean fuel in order to burn properly, but yet at the same time, like exercise, movement can inspire your eating choices.
Yeah.
So what's your take on all that?
Absolutely. My favorite dumb joke is the only exercise that works for that, that thing around your belly is push away from the table. Right? That's the magic exercise. And of course I'm joking. I want you to eat. I want everybody to eat, and I want everybody to love to eat. I want you to enjoy your food. It's one of life's great pleasures. But if I were to give every one of us, there's no magic diet, right? There's no magic eating plan that's perfect for everybody, except for this one. Eat food, not food products, right? It makes me nuts when I go grocery shopping and 90% of the food comes in a box or a plastic bag or a can. Okay, but where's the real stuff, right? Get it as close to the dirt as you can.
The dirtier, the better.
Right? If you can grow it and pick it out of your yard, it's even better. But if not, right, try to get food with as few ingredients as possible. You can combine them any way you want, because you're not going to add in all of the chemicals, and you're not going to take out all of the vitamins and minerals that were in it to begin with. Right. So eat food, start there. If you can do that for a month, I can almost guarantee you'll lose weight, whether you're trying or not.
Yeah. And moving is going to inspire you to just dial in the right amount. I think oftentimes we get looking to foods for not just fuel. We're looking for it to be our therapist sometimes, or like our social, we go out and we eat and we overindulge because everybody else is. It's like, well, why don't you be the trendsetter? It's
Yeah.
and that
I'm not going to remember this exactly, because it's been a while since I've thought about this, but and I can't remember the author who coined this concept, but she talked about multiple kinds of hunger, right? So you have a visual hunger that you eat first with your eyes. The food has to be visually appealing. You have a nose hunger where the scent, the aroma, piques your hunger. You have a taste hunger, which is your taste buds. You have a belly hunger, which is, an actual lack of fuel. She talks about a cellular hunger, where your cells are actually hungry for specific nutrients, right? So you might think you're craving chocolate, but really you're craving, whatever mineral is in that chocolate. And then of course there's emotional hunger, right? Where what we really need is, some therapy or a good friend, or to talk about and deal with this emotional issue and the stress, where it's just a lot easier to, shove down the food. We all do it. We all do it. But the more you can be aware of your emotions, and that's where exercise comes in, because for many of us, exercise is also an exercise in meditation and self-reflection. It's a time to tune in, see how I feel, both physically and emotionally. Right. And again, as you get that confidence coming back, your ability to make good choices goes up.
Yeah. I love it. And I just want to tie it back to that super poignant tip that you made earlier about the notion of the self-love again.
Yeah.
These bodies are amazing when we give them what they need, like girlfriend. There's, it doesn't have to be, you can rock your age at whatever age.
Exactly.
And so if you've got any doubts, look up LeeAnn. I'll put your contact information below, but it's Prime of Life Fitness. Yep. And literally any age can be your prime of life. So
absolutely. I'm happy to be a cheerleader for anybody who needs it.
Okay. Awesomeness. Well, with that, unless you've got anything else, thank you for your time. This has been awesome.
You're so welcome. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Okay. Thanks. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.